Sophie watched as he sighed, clearly realizing that she was far from impressed at being told off. He pushed a hand through his hair to stop it from trailing onto his forehead. His shoulders fell. "I'm sorry. That was rude." Yep, sure was, but she appreciated the apology. "What I meant to say was that I'd appreciate your help if you don't mind getting wet." He gestured at his own body. "Before you came along, I almost had her. Now she's loose again." Sophie sighed. Maybe he wasn't so bad after all. She'd probably given him a hell of a shock, almost bowling him over, and a horse on the loose would be stressful for anyone. "It's okay. I'll help." She rummaged in the back for her waterproof jacket and hauled it on before getting out of the car. "I'm with the local animal shelter, so it's no problem." The guy looked relieved, a tight smile visible on his face. "Thank you." It made him look less guilty and more of a good guy. She pulled up the hood on her jacket, braced against the cold. "I've already phoned it in to the police. We'll have help soon." He groaned, face falling into his hands kind of groan. "This is not my night," he muttered. She raised an eyebrow in question before realizing he couldn't see. Why wouldn't he want the police involved? "Is there a problem?" He shook his head, striding ahead toward the horse. "Let's just try to catch these horses and load them onto my truck, okay?" At least he was being marginally politer now. Sophie followed. "How many are we talking about?" The guy pointed. "3 in that field by the fence there, and the one that's loose." She looked at the horses. "Why don't we catch the group first, bring them over and start loading them? She might follow." He stopped, looked back at her, then started to nod. "Why didn't I think of that?" Lark Anderson looked over the woman who'd almost run him over, and who was now his unlikely savior. He shouldn't have been so rude to her, but she'd sure scared the life from him. He glanced at her as they walked side by side toward the group of nervous horses, but her features were almost impossible to make out. She was tall for a woman and slender. Her outline in the near dark showed a slim woman with long hair and a ponytail, but beyond that it was too hard to see. "So do you make a habit of working with your horses in the dark?" She said it with a laugh, but it made Lark's skin prickle. Even so, he wasn't going to bite. "Not usually, no," he said through gritted teeth. "But then it's not every day a fence is left mangled for a horse to get caught in either." She almost came to a stop, looked across at him, then resumed her pace. "Sorry." He shrugged and tucked his chin against his chest as another icy gust of wind slapped against his cheeks. "You're not from around here, are you?" "What gave it away?" he asked. "My weird accent?" This time she did stop. "Are you always this rude?" Lark shut his eyes for a heartbeat and sighed, pleased she couldn't see his face properly. "I'm sorry. It's been a long night." She didn't say anything. "Let's just say that adjusting to woolen socks and numb toes is harder than you'd think." She laughed. He was pleased that she was laughing at him rather than walking away, and he couldn't have blamed her for getting back in her car, blasting on the heat, and driving away. "As opposed to?" This time Lark laughed. "Would you believe it if I told you a cowboy hat in California?" He stopped a few feet from one of the horses and held his hand up slightly to tell her to do the same. Lark slowly reached for the horse, slipping a rope around her neck before she could dance sideways away from him. "Whoa, girl, you're okay. It's all right." "So I take it you're the rodeo rider," she said in a soft voice. Lark nodded before realizing she couldn't see him. "Yeah, that's me." "You have your one secure?" she asked.